This is an architecture of how we use Atlan to solve, how we brought in Atlan into our existing data stack. So at Chargebee, we do our analysis using data from a large number of data sources. I think off the top of my head, the number has to be at least 20, which will include CRM or human resources, tools, and so on. So this data is transformed and loaded into our warehouse by the data engineering team. And our visualization and analytics teams, they make use of this data to prepare the reports and the analytical reports as well. So we have so much data lying in the data warehouse, but if you wanted to open out access to users, I don't think they would be able to find out what data resides in which table, and they wouldn't be able to do this on their own. And this was where Atlan was a huge help to us. We used the data cataloging features to describe the tables and columns. So we wrote brief descriptions of each and every table that we brought onto Atlan, and a single line description for all the columns that are there in each of the tables. We tagged owners against the tables, and we also use it to house our metric definitions as well. And as you can see, Tableau is also connected with Atlan. People were able to search for dashboards on Atlan and land on Tableau via Atlan. So for an example, as a user, if I were to search for a particular metric, ARR, so it'll the Atlan will show me how the metric is defined and calculated. It will show me a sample calculation for the metric, and also it'll show me the tables which are used to calculate the metric, and the saved queries as well for calculating it, and also the dashboards which display the metric ARR. So it's just a one-stop shop for anyone who wants to explore data on their own.
I think one thing I'd like to add there is, where do I land, where do I go is one of those standard questions people would ask you, right? And you give them 3 different things. You say, hey, go to this for Tableau, and go there for something else, and here's your spreadsheet for the request that you asked. That was always complicated. And now we had this answer where, we just point them to Atlan, they just go there, search for what they want. And by linking it to Tableau and these other sources, people could just key in, say, a metric, right, ARR, and then see not just the metric definition and calculation, but also, where else is it being used? Where do I need to look it up? What are these various contexts that I need for this particular metric? And that organically actually helped us build out a lot of the literacy around the metrics that we have in our business. And that's been super helpful as well. Like Lloyd mentioned, because we were all rapidly reactive and, responding to requests, sharing context and documentation on metrics, people would have their own definitions, right? Or their own interpretations of a particular metric. So just having a single source where the metric is cleanly defined, you have the calculation logic, people can understand how this works, how is it calculated. Not just that, but also how mature is that metric, how evolved, and how do people know that, right? The whole data relevance and the data consistency, the staleness or otherwise of the data. Just having all of that information on Atlan. And then who do I talk to if I have a problem with this particular metric? Everything just gets answered. And who do I give feedback to? You can still do that on Atlan. And I think that was really exciting. The moment we saw that, we went there for data cataloging and discovery, and then realized, we're getting a whole bunch of these other things. So it's actually a lot of our enablement also happens through the context that we've built out on Atlan. And Lloyd, perhaps if you want to talk a little bit about, some of the other enablement pieces that we've done.
So apart from cataloging the tables that are present in the warehouse, it was also useful in cataloging the dashboards as well, like I mentioned earlier. So it was not just the data discovery tool, it acted as a dashboard discovery tool as well, because a lot of users did not know if a particular dashboard was, is even present. Our developers spent huge amounts of time and effort creating so much dashboards, but it's disappointing to see a lot of these dashboards go unused. But after Atlan came into the picture, every single search resulted in at least one dashboard that could be explored for a particular metric. So it solved a lot of problems for us.
Yeah, I think you touched on a good point, which I've come across in a lot of conversations about self-service, which is with how easy it is to build something. And I know you're using Tableau, for example. I mean, such an easy tool to build that in a data hungry organization, you're going to have so many dashboards that are just able to be constructed by business users and analysts that, rarely do we ever get the opportunity to just start from scratch. And so I think having the ability to see where the data ends up in a dashboard, and along with, for net new requests, seeing what kind of tables are available to build or edit or change those dashboards is something that can be really powerful. Just having that kind of bird's eye view of the overall ecosystem. I used to hear all the time, like, our self-service environment is, a Wild West, or it's chaos right now. And so I like to think there's some element of managing that chaos whenever you're able to see kind of the lineage aspect, as well as just objectively cataloging the assets themselves. So.